Alrighty, hey, what's up guys, Chaps here. Today I'm bringing you the fourth video discussing the classes in Gears 4. In this one we're going to be looking at the Heavy class, a crazy powerhouse that will probably be racking up the most points in most of the insane Horde runs, and probably most of your other runs, depending on your strategy. As always, I've got the links to the other class videos in the description, if you want to see those and check out our thoughts on those classes. If you haven't recognized the formula for these videos yet, guess what? It's time to talk about the skill cards. The cards I'm going to discuss here are most efficient for insane runs. Some of the other cards may be wanted for more casual runs, which I'll kind of make note of, but for the most part, these are suggestions for insane runs. In the first card slot is the turret damage card. In most strategies, the turret plays a heavy role, no pun intended, and this card is by far the most useful. In fact, as soon as I got this card, I spent all 1900 scrap I had upgrading it to max right away. Next up is the marked damage card, giving you 50% more damage against marked enemies. In pretty much any run, your team should be marking people non-stop. Essentially, everyone ends up being marked, so pretty much every enemy you shoot, you're dealing 1.5x damage. In the third card slot, I'd recommend the explosive damage card. This will increase the damage of all of your explosive weapons, up to double damage. Torque bow, drop shot, boom shot, all of these just get crazy effective when you're using this card. I mean, they're already good weapons, but this doubles the damage. That's awesome. In the fourth card slot, I'm going to put the explosive capacity card, granting you 10 additional rounds. The reason I picked this card after the damage one is that the damage one allows you to dish out more damage at a quicker rate, and it will also essentially cause you to use less ammo. Not to mention that you have a weapons locker to help you out if you run low on ammo. That said, once you reach level 7 and you have this fourth card slot available, this thing is awesome. Giving you 10 more boom shots, 10 more drop shots, it's not only powerful, but it's also a lot of fun to use. In the fifth card slot, I'm probably going to go with the pistol expert card. This one causes each bullet to do 40% more damage per shot fired. This card makes the gun extremely powerful, especially that last shot. Also, being that you spawn with a bolt-tock, it's essentially a really nice cannon. A small caveat that I wanted to bring up with this card is that each shot doesn't appear to be 40% stronger than the previous shot, which would be a nice compounding system to build up damage quickly. Instead, it's just 40% more base damage per shot. So if you do 1% on your first shot, then shot 2 is going to do 1.4 damage, shot 3 will do 1.8, shot 4 will do 2.2, and so on. With those being the 5 cards that I'd recommend, let's take a look at the remaining 4 cards available for the Heavy. Turret ammo capacity? I just wouldn't recommend. This requires your Heavy class to buy the turret. Every group you run with should have an engineer, and the engineer is essentially going to be the person who buys all of your stuff, especially if they have the turret cost card on. So that really makes this card pretty useless. Explosive launcher reload is pretty nice, and it may be worth running if you're doing an explosive heavy strategy. But for the most part, this one's just not as good as some of the other cards you could have used instead. Heavy weapon damage only affects things like mulchers, tri-shots, and salvos. So while these can be fun, they're not really necessary when you have a turret, so I'd avoid them, thus I'd avoid this card. The last card to look at is Mortar Strike. I'm not going to say that this is the worst card in the game, but it's certainly trying to be. The Mortar Strikes are completely useless unless you're hitting marked enemies, and even then it's still not great. I mean, if for some reason you can't or don't want to use some of these other cards I've suggested, be my guest, use this card, but it's a complete waste. Okay, there, skill cards out of the way. Now let's talk about the tips and tricks of playing this class. First up is the carrier. We all have the cankers that the carrier shoots out, right? Well, when they're about to come out, place a nice explosive shot, probably a boom shot, in his chest, and it's going to kill all of them. This allows you to destroy the cankers while still focusing fire on the chest, doing lots of damage. But most importantly, it doesn't require your teammates to take fire off of the carrier's chest to shoot stuff out of the air. Next up is a slightly more complicated one, the bolt-tock versus snub. This is something that's been debated quite a few times, but there really isn't much to it. The bolt-tock does more damage, but the snub has more shots, so it can build up a larger multiplier. To test out the damage done by each, I ran a couple tests. I shot a Grenadier on wave 49 on Insane, and this is how much damage you do per shot. As you can see, the bolt-tock does twice as much damage in a full clip, and much more per shot. This seems pretty simple and doesn't seem like it should be up for debate, but some people thought that the card used a compounding damage system. So if that was the case, check this out. If we used compounding damage, the snub would actually have built up and done more damage over the course of one clip. Sadly though, this isn't the case, so you can ignore this line. What this really shows is that as long as you're comfortable with the Boltok, it's going to be the better option. Another thing to note with this card is that you get more pistol ammo. The card doesn't say anything about this, but if you're using this card, you spawn with more pistol ammo. It's a nice little unknown perk. Those are really the only two tricks or tips I have for the heavy. It's quite a simple class. Besides the occasional explosive shot, you're essentially just going to be sitting on your turret shooting stuff. There's not much to it. That's not to say that the heavy class is a bad class though, it's probably one of the most effective offensive classes that you have. So do you guys think I missed anything? Have any other tips or tricks? Be sure to let us know and we'll make sure to update people. To catch up on our previous videos discussing the Scout, Engineer, or Sniper, check out the videos that I've linked below. Additionally, once the Soldier class becomes available, I'll have that linked below as well. As always, likes and subs are appreciated, and make sure to follow us on Twitter or check out our website for more Gears content. And until next time, thanks for watching.